first time I realized, like, this isn't for me was I had an internship in licensing, like ASCAP, BMI, all that stuff. And it wasn't at a big company. It was like it was one of my professors was like, oh, you can come intern at my like whatever private home. It was super weird. I was like in his basement.
But that's such a music thing.
Yeah,
like
and I was like, I'll do it. I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'll take it. It was so strange, but it was when I was dating him, and I was also interning in New York for PR, and I loved it because I love PR. I love marketing. I love that, and both were unpaid, and
bartending.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And it was horrible. I had like the flu for a year. I had the flu for a year. Yeah, I don't know.
When did you see him? Like, would you guys like meet up after
I would
work?
sleep at his house, or he would sleep at mine.
But that was like literally the only time you could see him. Wow.
Yeah. But we were together for like 3 years. But I remember the basement one, the basement internship, offered me a job. Legit. And it was like $9 an hour. And I hated it because I was like, I don't want to do licensing. City? Well, this one was in Jersey.
Okay.
So I was in Jersey and I was in New York, like
for
rotating.
the PR was in New York. Okay.
And I was like, no, like, I don't want to take this. And I knew it. I was like, I'm just not happy. Like, it wasn't even the money thing because I was working for free anyway. So it wasn't like, oh, it's only $9 an hour. It was just like, I'm just really unhappy doing this. I'd rather continue to intern in the city for free. It's something I love. Yeah. And my ex was like, very mad at me. And he was like, why would you not want to work in New Jersey where I am for money? And he couldn't like grasp the idea of like having a passion for something. Like he just was like, it's so stupid. It's so dumb. Like the first time I got my first full-time job in the city, like paid, I was like hype. And I'm like, I want to celebrate. Can we go out? Like I want to do something. He was like, no. Like I'm not supportive of this at all. I'm not supportive of you being in New York, 5 days a week. And I think it's stupid, and I don't know what you're doing. And I was like, this is bad. Like, this is a toxic relationship. And now I'm with someone that, like, I'm not just saying this because he's in the other room, but, like,
he can hear us.
gasses me up for everything I do and, like, supports everything I want to do because he knows, like, what it's like to be in the creative field. So it's even when I'm like, ugh, I'm not making any money. He last night we had the conversation where he's just like, it's going to pay off. Like, it's going to pay off. So hopefully.
I think about that all the time, and you can't, like, the power of having someone, whether it's a friend, a boyfriend, girlfriend, like who supports you unconditionally is like make or break. Like here you are, because every day you're questioning, like if you're not making money, if you're not in the space or you don't love it, how do you not question it? And so then the last thing you need is someone being like, you made the wrong choice or you're following your passion but you're not getting paid for it. Like why would you do that? That is the worst thing.
It is. It's because I mean, I don't know if you've experienced this with your parents. My mom's not, like, she works for the government now, and she's, like, my brother works for the government.
Yeah.
Like,
is it hard to understand? Like,
she doesn't get it.
industry?
Like, she'll send me stuff. Like, the other day, I got 3 emails in a row from her, and it was, like, one was, like, a house listing. The next was, like, register an LLC for, like, my creative stuff that I'm getting started. And then the next one was a government job opening. And she was like, just to keep in mind. And I'm like, I know she doesn't mean it, but, like, it's so unsupportive because it's just, like, I can't imagine what it would be like to see your kid, like, struggling or like still going after something.
But the best for them.
But it's also like I have faith. Like my 2020 thing is like I'm just manifesting stuff into the universe because I don't like we talked about it before. Like it's not a good feeling working for a big company when you're miserable. Like no matter the name of the company, like who it is,
you think you made it.
Yeah, and you're miserable, and you're like, why do I want to die every single night? Like,
and there's something different. Like, yes, like I think what pushes a lot of people in this industry because it really, and maybe we'll do a whole episode about this, but it really doesn't matter which city you're in, New York, LA, Nashville, Chicago, or even maybe none of the major cities. This industry is tough.
It's horrible.
It's really hard, and I'm talking all entertainment. I'm talking if you want to be a model, if you want to be, an actress or a singer, or musician. It's tough.
It
horrible. Really is.
There's just so much competition.
But I was thinking about that the other day because, I'm sure we'll talk about this, but I had like a big corporate job and kind of like going to where I am now, there's so much less stability in what I do. But I was looking back these last 2 weeks because January's been a little slow and I was, you get a little anxious. You're like, okay, am I doing the right thing?
Right.
But then I was like, every day I wake up and I'm like, happier beyond I can measure. Today, it's Friday.
Yeah.
And we're filming a couple episodes.
I said that. I'm like, I'm so happy today.
I could not express, like, I wasn't waking up going, oh, I have to get dressed and go to this office.
That's so funny you say that.
Through.
That's why I left grad school, because I'm like, I'm waking up, I'm waking up in the morning and I'm sick to my stomach. And I'm dreading it. And, like, when I have work for school, I'm miserable. And
Yeah.
Alex, my boyfriend, who is in the same program, he thrives on that. Like,
Yeah.
he loves
Right.
it. And like, it was really hard for me to be like, why don't I love
What's
this?
not clicking?
What's not
right?
working
Yeah.
for me? And now that I'm doing my own thing, I'm literally excited to wake up in the morning. Like, I'm happy to do it, even though like, you know, revenue and stuff isn't coming in yet. I'm like happy to sit down and like
Yeah.
work on shit. And that's like the clear line. And I guess you learn that as you get older, because when I was like 21 interning for free, I'm like, this is it. Like, I'm going to make it. And
Yeah.
I'll take whatever I can get. And now, like, as you get older, you're like, no, it's time to start being picky and choosy, because this is my life. Like, I'm in my life now.
Right.
Like, your
Yeah.
early 20s, I think, are for figuring it out. And then once you get to like 25, you're like, okay, well, I have to figure this out.
Yeah.
Because it's not worth it's probably is worth for most of the world to just have that 9 to 5 and be able to pay your bills and
Stability, yeah.
feed your family. And I respect that more than anything.
gosh,
I
yes.
I don't have it in me. Like, I don't have it in me.
And you're not at that point yet where, you know, some people might not have as much of a choice, or, you know, they might feel the pressure from outside areas or people. But for I feel so blessed. One, I have Jake, you have Alex, we have family, you know, and friends. Like, we have a beautiful support system here. But literally the days like used to pass so slow, like a 5-hour like span, or even just an 8-hour work day. And now I'm like, I've been sitting at my computer doing things I love, and it's been 4 hours, and it feels like I blinked.
Yeah, so Grace and I started doing the event thing. We just started it last month. We're like, let's just whatever. And we went to a coffee shop like a few weeks ago just to get like knock work out. Yeah. We were there for literally 8 hours, and I'm like, oh, they were like closing, and I'm like, oh my God, like I just had fun. Like, I just had fun doing something. And I think I'm still like in that situation because I just left school, and Alex was talking about school yesterday, and he was like, am I talking about school too much? And I was like, I don't want to take it away from you.
Right.
Like, because I know I don't want to be that person that's like, can you just shut up? Like, I don't want to do
I know
that.
I dropped out.
I know that's his life. And it's still part of me that has like that guilt inside of me. Like, I gave up.
Yeah. When
right?
that is literally
it's not
like,
it.
You're saving so much time. It's the same thing, right? Like, if you're at a job and, you know, you think it's the right choice, but then you're like miserable. Like, you leaving that earlier, if you know that in your gut, is only giving that time back to you.
If I had finished and gotten my degree, then what? Like,
Exactly.
I would have had to work in a field that I'm like, I hate. Well, I wouldn't have had to, but it's like, I would have felt obligated.
And
like,
it's also there.
Yeah.
If you really like, you can't stop thinking about it and you wanted to go back, I don't think that'll be the case, because you have so much going on and it's amazing. But it's still there. Right. You didn't lose that opportunity. But you're getting the time now to be like, what are the things I'm passionate about? Let me try this out.
It's crazy. Like, if I could have told like 21-year-old Julie, but I think that's going to come with anything. I'm 27.
So what would you have told your 20?
I mean, I would have been like, one way or another, it will work out. Like, it's so cliche, but it's the truth. And I'm sure in 10 years, I'm going to look back at 27-year-old Julie and be like, you're fine. Like, you're good. Like,
you're fine.
Because I'm still like going to bed every night. I have serious anxiety and all that. Yeah. So it's like, and I think we all do in this industry. I don't think there's one person in the music industry that's like, no, I'm great. Everything's fine.
I make tons of money and I'm
so
totally
happy.
healthy.
I've been working at the same job for 20 years and I've never gotten a raise, but it's fine.
It's fine. I'm living the dream.
Yeah, that's what we tell ourselves. But yeah, I mean, even talking to like Ayla, cut her name, but she even said like, it's the startup companies in Nashville that are coming through and like making a name for themselves rather than like the big three and all that.
And in my opinion, which, you know, take it as you will, I'm an adult-ish, so is that Nashville is one of the best cities to start anything.
Anything.
Even your career, because what's different, and we'll talk about this in another podcast with our really good friend Anne, because all three of us have experience in, she has Nashville, New York, and LA. I have some experience, not living, but like doing a lot of work out in LA, New York, and Nashville, and you have New York and Nash, and maybe you've been to LA.
No,
I don't even know.
I can't do LA.
But she said, and I'll ask her this, the difference in those cities, if she just had to pick one major difference, is the people. And what's different about Nashville, and you see this the second you get here, is people will ask you about your life. People will be like, "Oh, I'm a producer. Like, let's come on over and we'll do something." Like, and you just create, or, "Oh my gosh, I do digital marketing. Like, hey, I love you. I love your stuff.
Right.
Like, how can I help?" People don't want something for return. They have like faith that it will work out or a collaboration will happen how it needs to. Of course, there's like plenty of things that go wrong, and you're like, I wish we had a contract, but that's not the first.
I wish we had a contract.
I mean, I'm sure people are like, dang it.
No, for sure. I mean, New York, nobody wanted to. I always said it, like, in order to get any of the jobs that I wanted, someone would literally have to die because people were staying there
Yeah.
until they're 90 because they're like, well, I'm never going to get another job.
Yeah.
This is it. Like, and nobody wants to help you. You could ask anyone for help, but I learned, I mean, maybe this is just my experience. I'm sure there are plenty of helpful people. I learned that when you ask someone for help there, it's not like their intentions usually aren't to help you. Their intentions are to figure out what you're doing and then try to undermine you and do it before you, which is,
Or
it
only
happened
if
to
they
me.
can get something out of like you progressing.
It happened to me
as well.
many times and it was like heartbreaking. And I think with each like setback, I'm like, why am I here? And that's a big reason why I came to Nashville too. Because I'm just like, I can't do this anymore. Like it's not working out for me. And like eventually you have to let go of that. I don't want to say dream, but like that idea, like if it's not working, just take a step back.
Find another way. Yeah.
Take
Yeah.
a step
Whether
back.
it's like,
because it is. I mean, it all comes like full circle. It's like, well, no, people see me working in the music industry in New York City and like I'm this really cool person.
Right.
But I would go home. I would get home at like 10
made
o'clock
it.
at night and I'm like, I am so miserable.
You're on 4 hours of sleep.
I'm
every
so
single night.
miserable, but like I don't want anyone to see me fall or slip up. So it's like hard even telling your parents, like, Mom, I'm going to Nashville. She's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
And then
like,
you feel like, oh, is it because I didn't make it in New York? Or
Yeah.
you start playing. I mean, I'm not putting words in your mind. I'm thinking how I process things, like even changing, wanting to leave Warner, which we haven't even talked about what it will. I got nervous to tell my parents, right?
Yeah.
And not because they would not be supportive. My parents are like the most beautiful people on the planet Earth. They didn't even know the name of this podcast, and they're already like, how can we subscribe? And I was like, you can't yet, but you can soon. And like even knowing how supportive they are, you're still, it's that inner, like you want to make them proud. You want to make yourself proud. You want to kick butt. And sometimes you realize that dream isn't exactly how you thought it. And we'll talk about this, but working at my dream job, there were things about it that I didn't like. And now I'm realizing like flexibility with my schedule, creativity in my job. Like I was doing much more like analytical based. You realize that it's not like, oh, this company is what makes me happy.
Yeah.
It's like the nuances, like me spending time with Jake who works only nights. So working from home or having flexibility with my hours, that makes me happier.
Yeah.
So it's not always like a clean cut, this company will make me happy, this amount of money will make me happy. It's like, what are those small things in your time in life right now?
Yeah.
Like you collaborating with Alex after we record this, like you literally signed him up without him knowing.
I know. I was like, you're recording this
for
me,
this
right?
competition, right?
Yeah, I didn't tell him. I called him. I was like, I signed you up for that song competition. But he was happy, thank God.
Yes.
Which is so refreshing because, like, my past relationships, if I ever did anything like that, like, why didn't you tell me? Like, you should have came to me. And it's like, I have such a good foundation with him. I told my mom yesterday, I'm like, I'm obsessed with him. Like, this is the end game for me. And, like,
He's pretty
I'm probably
awesome.
jinxing it right now. I'm going to go out. He's like, we
just
actually
lifted
have
his
to
foot.
break up. But
We're
he's
too
like, yeah.
good. Like we peaked, we had a good run.
Yeah, right. No, but like I've never been like with someone, and I'm sure you and Jake are this way after being together for 10 years too. It's just like I know the way he's gonna react to anything. And we'll definitely do an episode on like mental health because that is something that I still struggle with. And like Alex unfortunately gets it a lot, but I just started therapy this week. And I'm like, I you have to channel that anywhere. But regardless, being with somebody that my relationship is so strong, it helps. And it's the same thing. Like I just turned on a job with Universal. And like, and I was
anyone else is like going, you're crazy. What are you thinking? And
my
we
mom, I
talked
lied
about
to my
it.
mom. If you're listening, sorry. I was
Love
like, they
you.
didn't offer it to me. She was like, oh, who needs them? And I'm like, yeah. But I'm like, actually, they did. They kept calling me. And I was just like,
But here,
it
like,
wouldn't
the
make me
insight
happy.
is you looked at the job, right? The responsibilities, and it wasn't what would make you happy. It was going to take away from all the creative
And I said,
projects
I was
you
like,
wanna
I don't
spend your
feel
time
like,
on.
I didn't even say like, no, absolutely not. I was just like, I just don't think I'm going to be good at this. And like,
Right.
you can find, you're
Yes.
Universal, you can find someone that's actually going to deliver. Like, I would go in there on my first day and be like, I suck. And they'd be like, why did we hire this girl? And they were like, no, we can train you. Like, we can train you to do it.
You
And I'm
can't
like,
train me to be happy.
you can't train me to be happy. I would be there, 9 hours a day, miserable?
Yeah.
I'm not doing that to myself. I'm done doing that to myself.
And you're not going to be a great coworker and employee for them. Like,
Exactly.
it's finding a great match. And if you knew you almost were trying to convince yourself that it was a good idea.
I sat at the table with Marissa and two of our friends, like right after the interview because they called me that day and they're like, "Oh, you got it." And I'm like, "I can't decide on this now."
Not even qualified.
And I went like
for this.
talking to like 3 really powerful, like strong women who were just like, "You don't need that." Like that's the validation that
And the main
I
thing in the
need.
pros column was the name.
Yeah, but
And-
sometimes you need to
yeah.
hear it. Like, no, it's okay. You don't need that. Because so many people, like, people think being a supportive friend is like, you got this and that's great. Like, you should do it.
Yeah.
And they think that that's supporting you. But sometimes that's like no, you're making me feel worse.
Yeah.
Because I know in my heart I don't want to do this, and I
And
need
we
you to
could tell
just
that.
agree with me. And it is because you're working in the same industry. And my mom, of course, was like, it's a foot in the door. It's this,
Right.
it's that. And I'm like, but it's not. Like, it's
People
not a foot in the
outside don't
door.
know.
What am I
Yeah.
going to do, data analysis for the rest of my life? Like, I can't. I just dropped out of school for that. Like, I'm not doing that. Like,
Yeah.
I'm miserable working with numbers. I'm dyslexic as fuck. I never know what's going on. Like, if I was pulling data for fucking Universal Music, they'd be like, why did Britney Spears get one stream? And I'd be like, I don't know. I'm so confused. I'm
Like,
so
oh,
confused.
it's 1 million.
I
Sorry.
don't know how to do numbers.
Zeros.
I was literally in special ed math in high school. Like, I don't know. I can't do that.
So there's no qualifications for the music industry.
There's nothing. I can't do it. That's so funny. The
suck
class
at
I
math.
just failed at Belmont was the computer programming, and it wasn't really math. It was just computer programming. With just so many letters and so many words. And my professor would be like, "Are you following?" And I'm like, "Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have no idea what's happening." Like, literally, I was like, I would text Alex in class, like, "What does this term mean?" He's like, "Come on."
We should really do
Yeah.
a episode on like education, because I kind of felt the same way. Like I'm smart, but it didn't come naturally. Like I
Yeah.
would have to like overstudy, and me and my sister are the same way. Like colored flashcards, like
Yeah.
rehearsing every day, practicing every day, like trying, like rereading things. I was the slowest reader.
Yeah.
Like Jake will be like, "Oh, it's 14 times 17 divided by
No.
4. Oh, here your tips, blah blah blah," and I'm like still having to get my
Dude, I don't
freaking
know
phone
how people
calculator
that do that are
out.
sociopaths.
And it makes you sometimes, you're going like, why can't I get it? And I feel like I'm smart. But there's different levels
I
of
can't
like,
do math. I
I
just
had a-
hate it.
same. But I had a professor in college who actually was like, not to put people in boxes, but sometimes there's people who grasp like what we view as the academic side. But then there's these other people, and it's not just 2 boxes, there's hundreds. But she was saying other people have emotional intelligence. And it's not even just that, but Jake used to say that, like, just like him understanding things, and audio technology, like that's hard. That's a whole language.
Yeah, it's a whole
Like,
other world.
It's so it can be really tough. And yet we'd go to like an event, and he'd be like, "You just talked to like 75 people, had no issue. You felt comfortable, like you weren't awkward. Like I don't know how you do that."
Right.
And so it's
Alex
just,
says that too. He's like, "You're personable." Like,
I can't add a freaking
I
tip
can't do it.
without a
Oh
calculator.
my god, he'll be there. He'll be like 17 times 80 and like know it like that. And I'm like, give me a day, I'll get back to you. I don't like.
And
I still
piece of
count on my
paper.
fingers. I'm not kidding. Like yesterday we were driving and we were looking at the GPS and I was like, okay, make a right. And he was like, that's a left. And I'm like,
literally
dude,
did
right?
that
I do the left
yesterday.
and the right. I don't know where I'm going.
We're building a table, and I told him
Because when I see a turn that's like that, I'm like, that's a left. And they're like, no, it's a right. It's going this way. And I'm like, but it goes
it's
this
to
way. The
Dude.
left goes this way. They're like,
We're
that's,
so smart though.
I can't do it. I mean, I can, but I have to use my fingers.